Let's talk about some of the development of Sonic Adventure and why you should care about the scrapped Sega Saturn version. Now, I'm pretty sure at this point, you already know the story of Sonic X-treme, but if you don't, here's a not so quick rundown. After Sonic 2 was finished, Sega Technical Institute, or STI, split into two halves. The Japanese devs worked on Sonic 3, while the American devs worked on Sonic Spinball. After the American team got done with Sonic Spinball, they started working on a new Sonic project. They pitched a game based on the Saturday morning cartoon to Yuji Naka, which he rejected. Then they pitched a 3D game for the 32X that also took inspiration from the Saturday morning cartoon, to which Naka merely said, "Good luck." This project eventually morphed into a game for the Saturn called Sonic X-treme. Meanwhile, a team in Japan that consisted of people who worked on Sonic 1 but didn't move to the States had finished working on projects that successfully made their way to the Mega Drive's add-ons, Sonic CD for the Mega CD, and Chaotix for the 32X. And after wrapping up work for Sonic and Knuckles, the Japanese team working for STI moved back to Japan and reconvened with the Chaotix dev team to reform Sonic Team, which hadn't officially made a game under that name since the first Sonic the Hedgehog. However, it seemed they were burnt out on the Sonic formula, as Chaotix doesn't even star Sonic or Tails and includes strange gimmicks. So instead of creating a new Sonic project, Sonic Team instead worked on Nights into Dreams, which I honestly believe to be the best game to be released under the Sonic Team name. Yes, even better than the actual Sonic games by them, but this doesn't count the STI games. Anyways, the remaining staff at STI was split between working on Comic Zone and the Ooze for the Genesis and Sonic X-treme. However, the project suffered from a severe lack of focus and was canceled. Honestly, if it had been released, it would have been the Sonic 06 for 1996. They even tried to give Sonic a princess girlfriend for this game, though she isn't a human. So yeah, hopefully Sega had learned to can blatantly unfinished games with a lack of focus, feature creep, and a Princess Peach for Sonic. Oh, what's the point of this? Anyways, the real nail in the coffin for the project was the developers, including director Chris Sen, getting physically sick due to overworking themselves trying to meet the Christmas 1996 deadline, and resorting to using the Nights engine to speed up the development process, which pissed off Yuji Naka. So ends the story of Sonic X-treme. So after working on Nights and with Sonic X-treme being cancelled, Sonic Team finally decided to work on a new mainline 3D Sonic title. And they helped Traveler's Tales with their Sonic games. And they made Burning Rangers because they can't focus too much energy on their namesake. At the same time though, they were receiving letters from Japanese fans of Nights asking who Sonic was. That's how bad the drought was. But also, the Mega Drive wasn't very popular in Japan in the first place, even losing the console wars to the PC engine over there. But contrary to how it was in the West, the Sega Saturn was quite popular in Japan, thanks in part to excellent marketing and a library that filled the JRPG gap left by the Nintendo 64. So Sonic Team made it their mission to introduce Sonic to Japanese gamers, while still giving longtime fans a treat in the form of the compilation Sonic Jam. This was a collection featuring Sonic's 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles with lock-on technology for Sonic and Knuckles, along with time attack and special stage modes, difficulty selection, and an optional spin dash for Sonic 1. These features were able to be included because these aren't direct emulations of the Mega Drive hardware, but rather direct ports to the Sega Saturn, since emulating the lock-on games might have been impossible. Though, this does lead to sound issues because it's CD audio now and it takes forever to load. And despite adding the spin dash to Sonic 1, they forgot to add Tails' ability to fly to Sonic 2. But it's a great collection, and the collection wasn't the only part of the game. The other half of the game was the Sonic World mode, a full 3D hub world where you can complete missions, go to museums and look at the goated Harmony artwork, listen to tunes, and watch sick Japanese commercials, and also touch Miles. Anyways, this mode gives us a glimpse of what the next Sonic game would look like. And now with all of that out of the way, it's finally time to talk about the prototype. We currently only have screenshots for Sonic Adventure on the Saturn, and I'll say where they came from later. One featuring Sonic and Tails flying by Angel Island, one featuring Sonic and Tails flying on what I assume to be Angel Island, one was Sonic and Tails looking at the expanse of the Mystic Ruins, which includes a background that was actually included in the final game in Lost World, one featuring Sonic near what looks like where Big's house is in the final game.
It's actually Mystic Forest from Nights. I don't know how I didn't notice that, damn it.
Another of Sonic in the Mystic Ruins, and one of Sonic and Tails and Ice Cap. However, these are likely just mock-ups and not actually part of a prototype. That may be obvious to some of you, considering their use of pre-rendered backgrounds, but the game was at some point originally intended to be an RPG, so this may have been what the game was actually going to look like. Also, these were supposedly made before Sonic Jam. I love these. They're just nice to look at. The models were also later used in Sonic Jam. Modified versions were used in Sonic R, and they served as the inspiration for the special stage models in Sonic Mania. I like them a lot. Some people say you lose Sonic's silhouette with these models, but you really don't. Yes, Sonic is a very round character, but his spikes translate to polygons well in my opinion. These models can be seen in the reveal trailer for Sonic Adventure and Sky Chase. They can also be seen there in the final game, but during cutscenes the textures are changed to match the new design so you don't notice. The reason they're used is because early 3D games used low poly models when the camera was far away from the characters to save frame rate. There's also a leftover spring from Sonic Jam in the files of Sonic Adventure. I also really wonder what the story would have been in this prototype, especially since it was supposedly going to be an RPG, as all we have is that Sonic and Tails are on Angel Island and that's it. There are some storyboards, however, that depict an alternate version of the final game's Sonic story intro that are very interesting. Now I want to address the elephant in the room, the designs, which is part of the reason I want the prototype. Yuji Naka thought that Sonic was becoming too cutesy and wanted to bring back that cool edge to Sonic. So Sega decided to hold a contest between artists to make a potential redesign. The top four were Yuji Uekawa, Satoshi Okano, Naoto Oshima, and Takumi Miyake. Let's start off with Uekawa's design. It's pretty good. All he did was make Sonic taller and give him larger quills to match his height. Satoshi Okano's design had actually been used before for a cover of Sega Saturn magazine in Japan, and it's easily my favorite. It's pretty much the same as Uekawa's, but it just has more style. While his design obviously wasn't chosen, he was actually able to use some of his art after the release of Sonic Adventure for the Japanese release of Sonic 3D Blast, which had actually released in Japan after Sonic Adventure and was the last ever Saturn game in 1999, 3 years after the rest of the world got the game. Then there's Oshima and Miyake's horrifying designs with the red eyes. Oshima's design is bad, which is sad because, well, you know, he kinda created Sonic in the first place. He has these very threatening fangs. I don't hate the idea of Sonic having fangs. In fact, he does have them in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Shuffle, but they're very understated compared to these. Miyake's design is just plain horrendous. It's not just bad for mascot design, it's just unappealing in general. It's awful and definitely shows a concerning amount of desperation on Sonic Team's part. If this is one of the best, I want to know what the other designs look like. But they ended up going with Uekawa's design in the end. Only difference is they gave him green eyes. Now I'm talking about the redesign because it's pretty much one of the reasons a lot of people want the prototype, as it gives us a glimpse into an alternate universe where Sonic kept his classic design and his transition to 3D. Anyways, I know this video barely focused on it, even in the first half, because there's not much to say about it, but I hope the Sega Saturn prototype of Sonic Adventure gets found, because it would be a cool peek into an alternate universe. Just like Sega itself, the Sonic Lost Media community just overlooks the 3D games in favor of the 2D games, so it would be nice to get at least some more development info on this game. It's very unlikely that we'll actually find the prototype because it wasn't given to magazines and it wasn't shown off anywhere. It's probably in the hands of Sega themselves or on some disc or hard drive owned by some developer. Those screenshots were first shown at the 2016 Sonic Adventure Music Experience, and the clean scans were posted on social media after being shown in the 2020 Extra Life charity event, so it's much more likely that it's in the hands of Sega or Sonic Team. And I don't know what it would take for them to release something, but this video was just to stir up interest, which in turn might increase our chances of finding it, or at least finding out more about the development of the game. So spread the word. Somebody may know somebody who knows somebody who can give us some more information. But that's all we have for now. Anyways, thanks to TCRF and Sonic Retro once again. Thank you for watching and feel the sunshine.